loading snacks.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Finisher Podcast, powered by Loading Snacks, where wrestling meets pop culture, and we don't just talk about it, we finish it. This is your boy Jokes. I got the homie Marcus with me, and we're here, we're
Yep.
breaking down some of the biggest matches, moments, and everything shaping the culture, from the opening bell to the teardown. And of course, you guys got to remember, make sure you're following us over on Instagram so you can check out the 10-minute teardown hosted by our very own K. Every Monday and Wednesday or Monday and Friday, excuse me, after Raw and SmackDown, just to give you guys a little bit of an area to come into and talk about what just went down on Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. And then, of course, for even more pop culture content, make sure you head over to loadingsnacks.com, where you can, of course, find everything that is wrestling oriented, to movies, to anime, to gaming. There's a lot under the Loading Snacks banner for you guys to check out. And if you guys want to show us even more support, make sure you go on over to patreon.com/loading snacks, where you can also help in what we're building on there as well, too. Let's go ahead and get into things. Marcus, how are you doing tonight, good sir?
I'm doing great, sir. How about yourself?
Man, I'm a little bit tired, but work's got to get done. This type of work, like the fun stuff. But we are here to talk about some wrestling, and
Yep.
man, oh man, some things have gone down over the last week. But I want to talk about something that I don't know. I don't know if this is partial like an accident, or this is something that's the catalyst of how you create something and then it ends up spiraling out of control in a good way. But I want to talk about El Grande Americano
Oh gosh.
and original El Grande Americano. So going down, and that's this weekend, if I'm not mistaken, we are going to be seeing the two of them square off in AAA in a mask versus mask match. So this is something that inevitably I feel like was going to happen, but I feel like the organic growth of how this has transpired I feel like has defied probably what people were probably expecting out of this. Now we know who's under the mask. Let's be real.
Masks.
Masks. We know who's under them, but this has been a very fun, engaging, and entertainment thing that I think they've been able to do, and they've managed to get this story moving on, obviously on the WWE front, but then also on the AAA stage.
But do you want to know why you're enjoying it so much?
Why am I enjoying it so much?
Because it's more so on AAA side than WWE side. So it's more so AAA controlled than WWE controlled. Even though it's under the umbrella,
I don't know
AAA
if
has
much-
the I don't know,
they-
like the AAA stories be AAA stories, not WWE influenced AAA stories.
Hey, listen, I don't know
The
about that.
characters, the original design of the character is WWE, but all of the story of him being in AAA is AAA.
And now, before you say that, because like 2 nights ago, I watched the AAA event, and when it ended in the same way that Raw and SmackDown ends, that has those executive producers at the bottom of the screen, and obviously Paul Levesque was name was on there, Lee Fitting was on there, but there was a third name on there that we have not seen on an executive producing, and that is Mark Calloway. Good old Undertaker is also apparently behind the scenes doing stuff with AAA. But aside from those pieces, when original Grande Americano went out injured, and we were trying to figure out, okay, fine. We knew somebody was probably going to take up the mantle of El Grande Americano. It made sense, and so the character wouldn't disappear. And of course it did.
Like, how convenient. Chad Gable gets injured, and now Grande Americano Is injured.
Listen,
What a coincidence! What a
listen, man.
coincidence! What a coincidence!
Some things happen for a reason, and you know what? It's out of our control. So it just things lined up
Oh my
perfectly on
gosh, you
there
like
for it.
what happened to Ludwig Kaiser? Where has he been? Oh look, there's a guy who's taller and skinnier than Grande Americano, but he's calling himself Grande Americano. Who could that guy be? Oh my god.
But like there's been a really big organic growth with the Grande Americano character. Because let's be honest, when the character first started, to me, it seemed like it was to really be this. I don't want to say poke fun at, but it was to have fun with the whole luchador and the mask. Like it was really to be a funny type of thing that they were going for. I don't think they quite expected the character to get over as well as what he did. Now, obviously, WWE has been doing solid, but AAA fans have taken to both Grande Americano, specifically not original, but Grande Americano 2.0. They have taken a liking to this dude that I honestly wasn't expecting to actually happen. And it does help that obviously he speaks Spanish, so he is able to communicate and interact with a lot of those fans much better than original Grande Americano. And guys, I'm gonna try to keep things. Obviously, if you're a wrestling fan, you're gonna understand this. I'm making sure I get their names right. For people that are probably tuning in, just getting pieces of this, I know. Yes, there are two Grande Americanos. There's an original, and then there's a 2.0, the second version of them. But I've been enjoying what they've done, and I hate to see the mask versus mask because eventually, like obviously, one of them is going to lose the mask. It's going to take away. Personally, I think there's probably been a change in the way that this is played out. Because initially, I was thinking that it was going to be 2.0 that was going to end up losing the mask. But with the way
Really? I
things
thought it
have
was
been going,
reverse. I thought it was going to be the original Grande
mhm.
Americano was going to lose his mask
Well
and let
now, mhm,
let the 2.0, the official Grande
mhm,
Americano, keep the mask and
mhm,
just continue to work in AAA, seeing as he's over in
yeah,
AAA, and if he would transition back, it's like he's going to get lost in the shuffle again.
yeah. No, I would say over the last couple of months, that's why my opinion has shifted, and I do believe it is going to be OG Grande Americano that is going to lose the mask because I just feel like 2.0 has just established himself so well, and he's pretty much created a good bridge between AAA and WWE and being able to play and work both sides of the fence for it. Now, they had led up for the most part where they had they couldn't put hands on one another, but
Yeah, in
that
AAA.
yeah, that stipulation went out the window this past weekend because they definitely both put hands on each other. It's it's just funny that probably one of the least expected characters you think was going to actually get over has done it this way. But I think to some of our other folks that are like that, I think of like your R truths of the world who probably I don't think they thought that character was going to get over with the crowd as well as what he did. Um,
I mean, it's the
it's just
same
a
thing with Mr. America, or was it the Real American? It was Hulk Hogan. It was Hulk
no,
Hogan,
it was
but
Mr. America. Like
he was over. He wore a mask and everything. He was over, and so
but it was different. Like the only reason that character came to play was because Hulk Hogan was fired or suspended. I don't remember which
I
one it
think he was
was.
fired. I think Hulk Hogan was fired, so he
And
couldn't.
so,
So
yeah,
Hulk Hogan could not wrestle in WWE, but Mr. American can, or Mr. America can. It was
like
A weird time to be on a SmackDown fan.
But and the one thing, Santino, his character. I think they have some uh, parallels on
No,
their
because
side
the
for it.
difference is that like our truth is our truth, like
Hmm.
through and through.
Yeah.
Like even when he's wrong killings, he's still our truth to some
Oh,
degree.
clearly, because
Just
they've
a
been.
just a more violent our truth. Um, for those who have seen wrong killings and that type of character work.
Hmm.
If you haven't, TNA is a good place for you to watch, and NWA, I strongly recommend 10 out of 10. Um, and like Santino Morella, like he never changed his gimmick. He never changed his character. Santino Morella has been Santino Morella
Hmm.
through and through. Even now in TNA, he's still Santino Morella. He's just now a more adult Santino Morella because now
Hmm.
his daughter is in wrestling in NXT and everything, and having that crossover with TNA. So now he's more like less goofy, more parental
Hmm.
Santino Morella.
Yeah. I just think there's some comparisons that are there for it, but when I think about this, I feel like 2.0 Grande at this point is also has intertwined and become more of almost like a cultural thing. Like like I said in the beginning, like he speaks Spanish, he can relate to the people more in comparison to Grande original. Um, Now I'm gonna switch gears. We're gonna talk about the actual guys under the mask. Um, for Kaiser, I this is probably the best thing that has happened to him since originally being in Imperium with Gunther. Like he had a small stint where he was trying to find himself and what it was that he could do as just himself, and I thought that was going okay. But by all means, I never thought that this was going to be the thing that was going to make Kaiser's career actually work up a little bit better. Now I want your thoughts. Now let's just say, which obviously I don't think neither one of us think this. If this dude Kaiser were to lose, and
I mean, he's
obviously
going to
get
lose.
no, he's not. Kaiser is not
He
going to
is.
lose. No, he's
Did you
not.
not see the stuff about in the like in the senior area joint like that from that you posted? You literally posted it
Oh,
in the chat.
yeah, but I don't think. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think that stuff is going to stick. I believe he's going to have to. Kaiser's going to have to go through the real life stuff and get that over with. But I don't think that
Yeah,
stuff is going to stick. I don't think it's going to stick.
but with the so look, it happened to Enzo. It happens like there's a whole list of people where something happens
Hmm.
and then they get pulled off of TV immediately. And then it's just like we don't hear from them until like it gets settled, and then okay, a couple months go by. If it's really bad, then it's just like future endeavor.
Nah,
Or in
I
this case,
think
yeah, they've been let go.
Kaiser. I think has the benefit of the fact that looking at all this stuff. So for those that aren't aware, um, it's been about a week now, but there was a warrant for Kaiser for his arrest for apparently assaulting a guy. Now, I won't get into details about the whole entire thing. Like, if you go look it up, if you want to get in the know for it, um, it's one of those things where like, if what actually happened, and he kind of defended his girlfriend who he was with at the time, I am not. I'm not too upset with it because some things obviously got said. Now, obviously, we will probably never 100% get the full entire story because I'm sure it's going to end up being behind an NDA or something at some point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But because of his clean record and everything that he has, I do believe he is going to be okay. Now, if he'd have been someone that has had previous offenses and things like that, he probably would be in trouble. But for the fact that one, when he immediately found out that he had a warrant, he was already in Mexico, obviously preparing for the event and the things that went down this past weekend. He came back to the States, and obviously, I don't think Kaiser is actually an American citizen. I don't think he's an American citizen. I think he may be on a work visa. I could be wrong about that. That I didn't look into. But the moment he found out, he did fly back to the States. He turned himself in, and he was able to secure them, allowing him to, I guess, post bail, post bond, and be able to go back to Mexico to continue his work. So obviously, after this weekend, he's probably going to still have to come back and deal with some things in between it, but I think he's going to be okay. I would hate this to end up slowing the momentum down that he has built within the Americano character. Even if he ends up getting demasked, I do believe, as still Ludwig Kaiser, I think he still has some solid footing, especially even in AAA. He can communicate with the fans. He can communicate with the audience. He's in the right spot. Maybe he'll stay there for a little while still. I know they may try to get him a face. If they can keep the mask on him, I it wouldn't be opposed to seeing him versus Dom for the AAA Mega Championship being something that we see in the very near future. I think Dom has done great with it, but I do believe WWE is probably going to say, "Listen, you've done good, but we need you to come back and be, main dominator," especially with the whole Judgment Day angle. Like, he's been going back and forth, but I've been thoroughly engaged with the El Grande Americanos show that they've been putting on. And I don't think this was originally the plan to have these two dudes be at this point.
No, it definitely wasn't. It was just more so, hey, okay, we're going to use the Creed brothers to interchange this Grande Americano character. Okay, main Grande Americano injured.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we can't just keep it between the Creed brothers. Okay, now the Creed brothers are out. Who can we shoehorn into this character slot and
Mm-hmm.
keep this character alive? Okay, this guy isn't doing anything, or oh, we found a guy that could fill this role. No Spanish, can speak
Uh-huh.
the language, actually communicate. Okay, all right, you're gonna be this character, and uh, we just need you to do it until this person gets back.
Mm-hmm.
Now, fast forward, taking a life of its own, and it's more so okay. We have to then backpedal. All right, here's what we originally planned for this character.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're gonna scratch that idea. This is where we're going with this character because this person is going to be coming back. So
Mm-hmm.
this is where we're going forward now that we are partnered and have some creative control over like what's happening in uh in that realm, in that space.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, also I believe, I think Chad is in a better position where, like, if he gets demasked, I think it's time Chad Gable, like, he started getting a very solid push until unfortunately he got injured. I believe they can end up just going back and shifting gears and putting him back in that spot. If he were to be the one to end up taking on Penta, and unfortunately Penta losing the Intercontinental Championship to, I wouldn't be mad. I think Chad has set up something solid, and it's about time he gets a little bit more of a push. Now, do I think he's going to be the one to defeat Roman Reigns and take the World Heavyweight Championship? Probably not right now. Could that be something that they build up to?
Possibly,
Maybe.
possibly.
Maybe.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. But right now, I think Chad is better. I think he can live without the mask more than Kaiser can right now. I think Kaiser has found his identity as Grande Americano 2.0. And I think it's gonna. I hate to say that he's probably gonna have to leave the Kaiser persona alone, but I think he's found that persona under Grande Americano and needs to run with it for a little while. Now, I
Yep.
think this is going to be something that they see how this works. Maybe there will be changing of the guards under the mask because obviously we see that in lucha wrestling from like years and years down the road. Obviously, sons sometimes will take over for the fathers. Some inherit the next role of becoming the character that it is that they're trying to portray. I think right now Kaiser should live and be Grande Americano. And he is going to create another bridge between obviously AAA and WWE that I think would be a good play to have one there for it. But I'm really looking forward to this match, and I do think there's going to be shenanigans. Like we talk, I think there's going to be shenanigans in that match.
Oh, for sure, my guy. Like, especially if it's Chad Gable getting unmasked, there's definitely going to be shenanigans because I think we'll go from a steel plate in the mask
Mm-hmm.
type thing to like a metal, like a Kurt Angle type move of like I'm a Olimpiado Champiano like type thing is like I'm a champion.
And
Like
do for it. It wouldn't surprise me. Or I think it's time for him to get the band back together.
look, guys, don't come after me for my Spanish, okay? Like it's all satire right now. It's all satire. I know that's probably not how it's said, okay? Do
That's,
not come for me in the comments
that's what
about
the
my
Grande
Espanol.
Americano was
Poquito
supposed to really
Espanol.
be.
Poquito Espanol.
The Grande Americano was supposed to be satire, but it ended up growing. So,
I mean, for one of them, it's satire. For other one, they could do it.
so hey, listen,
Gracias.
I'm amped. This this is going to, I think, elevate both their careers. Kaiser winning, Gable potentially losing, I think is the perfect setup. I think that's the way that it should go. But we've seen decisions made that we don't like and don't support, and I think Kaiser losing would not be the way to go. But we'll have to wait and see how things go. But Americano versus Americano, I'm ready for it. Let's go ahead and let us shift into our other storyline that we got going on. So I think this is a question that it gets thrown around in different shapes and forms, I believe. But I want us to go ahead and kind of talk through this, work through this a little bit. So, what are some wrestlers from the past do you think would actually work in today's wrestling landscape? Like I
Okay.
know I feel like there could be some easy ones and I feel like maybe there's some ones thinking outside of the box. I can think of a couple that, a few that I'm really familiar with their work, and then there's some, unfortunately, due to age constraints, maybe I didn't necessarily see them at their greatest. I feel like me and you kind of fall into that same bracket.
Yeah.
But we've definitely done our homework and going back and watching a lot of wrestling from the past. But who is someone you think from wrestling past that would actually be able to work in today's landscape?
Oh, I would say someone like the Iron Sheik.
Hmm.
Like
Elaborate.
great in skill work, great mic work, can definitely hold the heat, can generate organic heat. So he could be like a top heel in the company. Um, and he's a great performer all around. Like he's a good solid pick. If I had to think of like someone in the past that could do well in the modern day.
I dig that. Have you like obviously I've gone back and looked at it a little bit. Have you gone back and watched a lot of Iron Sheik matches, or
I've
is
watched
this
a few.
kind? Mm-hmm.
Um, Not to cut you off.
Oh,
Uh, it's like his stuff with Hulk Hogan, his stuff like just overall with like some of the greats. Like they all say like he was always solid. The Undertaker, Mark Calloway is always
mm-hmm.
spoke very highly of the Sheik. The Rock always spoke highly of the Iron Sheik.
Mm-hmm.
Like he had that charisma, that presence in the locker room, and I feel like that would translate well in this modern era of wrestling because you have to be able to promote yourself even
Mm-hmm.
with bad creative decisions. And he's one of the people who I feel wouldn't let creative
Mm-hmm.
like put him in like bad spots. I feel like he
Gotcha.
has like that not alpha mentality, but that no pun intended dog in him that would like, yeah, this is a stupid idea. Like, we should probably like rethink this. You know what I mean? Like, he wouldn't be afraid to like go against the grain
Mm-hmm.
and be like, I don't think this is going to work for myself and the character that I'm portraying.
I
Because
dig that.
a lot of people don't are afraid to speak up about their character and like where they want their character to go.
I dig that.
I,
I think creative, like, obviously, creative was a lot different way back when. Like, it's a little bit like, I know you had your thing, your post go up about WCW and how ready to rumble, and like we talked a little bit about the WCW and giving them like their free reign with like the NWO, but I feel like on the WWE side with Iron Sheik, or at the time WWF, um, I feel like back then they had some free work to do with their actual characters and build them in, because back then the one thing I loved about characters was they lived their characters outside of the ring. And
kept kayfabe alive.
with a lot of stuff nowadays, you know what? And nothing by all means, nothing wrong with it. A lot of stars necessarily don't live their characters outside of the ring, which necessarily is not a bad thing. But I feel like in today's time, like it probably wouldn't work running into a certain superstar like Undertaker, probably out in the streets just as the Undertaker. But I think back then, like when you were able to stay in character like that outside of the show, it added that extra level to your character as you would be able to perform with it. I like the Iron Sheik. I think that's a good one.
Can you
Uh,
imagine like a verbal bout between the Iron Sheik and MJF? That would be gold.
that would be. That probably would be dangerous. That probably is a pay-per-view type thing that you would end up doing, but that could definitely be an interesting feud that you could set up for it. Um, Kind of tying in a little bit in that same time frame, a little bit further ahead. One that I have is actually kind of an easy one because I feel like we're seeing it actually work right now currently. Uh, Eddie Guerrero, like
I was going to say it, but I knew that you were going to say Eddie Guerrero. So I was like, all right, I know he's going to say Eddie
you
Guerrero.
could have beat
Let
me
me
to the
go for
punch.
not the obvious pick, Eddie Guerrero.
Hey, listen, there's some
But
obvious ones, and I think there's going to be some not so obvious, but I think Eddie is one of those that just easily just transcends what he did. For what he did during his time, I think he was a little bit ahead of the curve. And as you take your character, you evolve and you grow with it. Eddie was one of those that on both sides, whether he was a good character or if he was a bad character, he was always engaging. And like I say nowadays, we kind of see it. Dom Dominic Mysterio is doing some of the Eddie Guerrero work and what he portrays on screen, which is already a clear sign that Eddie would work during today's time. I think obviously Eddie being I don't want to say a bigger star because during it's hard to compare past times to today's times. Like Dom is
oh
in
no,
his
he would
own.
definitely be a bigger star than Dominic Mysterio
Oh no
because
no.
all of Dom's stuff is the direct from Ray and Eddie. Like this whole like him getting into the Judgment Day is a whole spinoff of Eddie's storyline with China. Like it's almost a carbon copy of
Hmm.
Eddie.
Yeah, like I think Eddie would work well in today's time. Promo skills, wrestling work, like he checks all the boxes back then to him to fit in just about any type of interaction that you could put him in nowadays. Like obviously, like the whole lie, cheat, steal thing would have gone like on social media nowadays as a hashtag. I'm gonna be honest with you. It probably would scare me a little bit to probably see the lie, cheat, and steal on certain people's posts because I feel like they probably would take it a little bit further than what it should be. But I could definitely see that as being one, like a hashtag that is just engaging across the board in many good ways. And then I can see it also happening in many bad ways on certain things.
Hey, look, if Eddie was still alive and present in today, I guarantee you WWE would have a partnership with a rock star for GTA. And he would be in GTA. I
He is,
guarantee you. He would be in GTA. That is prime placement. That's all that money raking in. Like, do you know how many copies of GTA would sell because of Eddie Guerrero? Not saying that it won't sell because it already has like broken records on a
uh
yearly basis, but the amount of draw that you would like have Eddie Guerrero to be like doing voiceover work in GTA.
huh. I can
Come on,
already see
the
getting
checks
pulled
write
over,
themselves.
get running with the cops. Like, whoa, I didn't steal nothing. Like, listen,
Just be
there's
like,
a
eh,
lot of
and it's just, as you cruising down, you be like, "Hey, mamacita!" Just so it writes itself. It writes itself.
yeah, and like Eddie's character, I feel like it was organically grown over time. He's had, obviously the WCW days, the WWE days. He is one of those characters that grew a lot over the years. And I think taking what he did and using it in today's landscape, I feel like is almost effortless. I don't think there's much that you really would have to change or do with the character to make it work. Obviously, as we come out of like attitude, ruthless aggression era, there probably will scale back certain little things, but I feel like Eddie falls in that category where, as a legacy person being in the company, he probably would have been able to push the boundaries a little bit further, kind of almost like what The Rock would do. Probably not to his level, like Rock's on the board, he can essentially do whatever he wants to do, but I feel like Eddie would have a little more free reign when it comes time for his character and being on screen. Um, I know they'll probably try to scale back a little bit with, presenting the kids and things like that, but I think his character on screen was excellent. And even outside of the ring, from other superstars talking about him, genuine dude, great guy. Like, I feel like overall, locker room leader potentially. Like, I know that gets thrown around a lot, but I feel like he would probably be one of those in the back that's probably trying to promote, get newer, younger talent up and coming. Like, I could see him still checking off a lot of those boxes that would keep him like it's just one of those like for the unfortunate, passing of Eddie Guerrero. But I feel like if he were still alive, he probably would still be engaged in wrestling in a multitude of ways. And for him to be able to be here and see like the partnership, ownership now of like AAA, like being able to partner
Oh
with like
yes,
Rey
he would be like.
Mysterio and do all
I
that,
wouldn't be surprised if he bought AAA himself.
I could see some type of influence like that.
Like I wouldn't be like if him and Ray collectively came together and him, Ray and like Chavo,
Mm-hmm.
they came together and bought AAA or CMLL.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they would have taken that to the mountaintop. Like it would be a direct pipeline, just like how we have NXT to the two major brands, CMLL or AAA, directly into WWE.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. And even if Eddie, let's just say, there's always a time where you decide to step out of the company. Like Eddie being able to go to other promotions, I feel like would have been an absolute win for any promotion. Like obviously, if AAA or like CMLL, he was able to go to, that would be already a driving force. I feel like Eddie's character would thrive within AEW. Like it's
Oh,
just
100%.
with AEW and some of their storylines can be a little shaky, but I feel like Eddie's character would live very well on an AEW stage. Obviously, he would fit in New Japan. I feel like. I
I mean,
believe
he
he's
was in
had
New Japan.
stops. Yeah, I was gonna say he's had
Yeah.
stops in New Japan. So with the way their stuff is a little bit different, I still feel like Eddie would be able to meld and work within their type
He
of
could work
build
anywhere, to
of
be honest
wrestling.
with you. He could go anywhere.
I feel like so. Yeah, Eddie is another one of those that I think transcends all. He just, I think that's the word just used, transcends. Like
Just transcends.
he would work very well. Um, Another one that I have that I only got to see honestly a little bit of his work, uh, being at a younger age, and unfortunately, it's another one unfortunately that passed. But Owen Hart, I think Owen obviously like coming from the dungeon, being a part of the Hart dynasty, like the technical ring work and things that he did. I mean, his promo skills were decent. I think he would fit in with a lot of today's talent, especially when it comes time for technical work. I think of like a Chad Gable, um, Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay. Like I feel like he falls in those type of categories with people that you could put him in some type of interaction with, and it could work out pretty well. It's just one of those things. I've watched some Owen Hart stuff, but during his time, I was much younger, and when I was started really getting tuned into wrestling, it was probably maybe just after he passed and he had his incident. So, but I've seen and gone back and watched. I've watched a lot of WWE content. Listen, when the WWE Network first launched and just gave us this library of stuff that you could just go in and watch, like when I tell you, I just started going in and just watching random shows and stuff from here and there. Definitely seeing Owen being able to perform was a pretty cool thing. If he was still around, we could partner up, partner with Natty. Brett finally, made amends to come back to the company. It could have been something where they could have built up, this new version of the Hart dynasty, where they could maybe incorporate some of their new and upcoming talent. Because there's a lot of superstars that have gone and have trained within that dungeon with all of them to be able to potentially incorporate into this new storyline that they could create. But I think Owen is one of those that probably will work in today's landscape as well too.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah, yeah.
trying to
Good.
think of
Like
other.
he was great in the ring. Great. He has that technical background from the Heart Dungeon. So
Mm-hmm.
there's that. He could talk. Like he would definitely have a good spot in the current climate. I don't know if he would be like the very top of the card, like
Mm-hmm.
the main event, but he would definitely be in between that main event and mid card range, like that in between. He could definitely
Mm-hmm.
push stars to their limit.
Mm-hmm. I could agree with that. I could agree with that. So I just think we could have had, unfortunately, we could have got a lot of more opportunities with Owen had he still been around. But I think he is one that would be able to live within the realms of what wrestling is today that we have. Who else is another one that you got on your list?
I'm thinking Dan Severn.
Ooh, enlighten me.
So Dan Severn uh, came from the UFC. He has that mixed martial arts background, but
Mm-hmm.
he was a professional grappler. He had a wrestling background. So when
Okay.
he transitioned out of UFC, early stages of UFC, into the professional wrestling world,
Mm-hmm.
that the man was like unstoppable. Like he was the Brock Lesnar before Brock Lesnar.
Okay.
Like his nickname was literally the
I'm
Beast.
actually seeing that the beast. Yeah, I'm gonna be real with you.
This man
This is
has
one.
literally over 9,000. Cue, like if we had a soundboard, I would be like, cue the soundboard. It's over 9,000. This man has over 1,000 wins.
Mm-hmm.
That's like you can't make up those type of stats. And like he had great in ring work. He proved that hey, like he was like that blueprint of like I could go from UFC into WWE to any form of like professional wrestling and do the damn thing. It even got to the point where some wrestlers were afraid
Mm-hmm.
to be in the ring because the man was so good.
Okay.
Like
You got to
they
make me do
built
some
him.
homework, cause I'm honestly I'm not 100. I know the name. I am not 100% background on anything of his, honestly. But just looking like what you said, like I just looking at like it reminds me of Freddie Mercury first, like when I see him, got the mustache and everything. But a lot of making that transition from like mixed martial arts into wrestling, so, and vice versa, the same way. It can be a hard thing because you got to shift the type of mentality that you have. Yes, you got to go out here and fight your opponent, but listen, you're not going out here to really fight and injure your opponent. So, I commend stars on making those type of transitions. Especially, I believe most of his stuff was during NWA, is where I'm guessing.
A good portion of his NWA, but he did have a stint in WWE. He did feud with Ken Shamrock, Owen
That
Hart, The
makes sense.
Undertaker, the Ministry of Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so he had a couple good feuds. He did get injured in one of his matches with Owen. Owen did like a
Mm-hmm.
power driver and like messed up his neck. So he was it was an actual kayfabe injury. So he was out. But yeah, like the dude was extremely solid.
I like that. Like that's a real outside of the box one. I do like that one. I'm like, now did you say I'm gonna have to go look up some of his stuff because like I'm intrigued right now. I'm definitely intrigued. Uh, my last one, and this is I kept to a lot of the names that more people will be familiar with, and this one is honestly is a super easy one as well too. Uh, Macho Man, Randy
Oh yeah.
Savage, Randy
Mm.
Savage Prime. Having him come into nowadays, I think would work excellent. Charisma, everything he has, everything that you would want someone to potentially be like the face of the company to be able to do things with. And fortunately, I've been able to see Macho Man in multiple stages of his career. So for me, it was honestly WCW was where I first really got to know Macho Man because I didn't watch. I wasn't necessarily born when when he was really in the WWF at the time and having his different feuds, the Hulk Hogan feuds, all of those type of things. But his presentation is just another one of those that I think still would work in today's time. And as he evolves, he could have potentially became more of a manager, which he kind of did at certain points. But seeing the Macho Man truly in WCW, like I don't want to say that was like definitive Macho Man because I think the version of him that we had in WWF was that staple that you would be able to see. But being able to go over, especially reinvent yourself when like the NWO era happened, and being able to take that same character and involving him in those NWO storylines, the beginning obviously of NWO I think was great, but as we got closer to the end of things and everyone having free control over doing whatever you want to do, but Macho Man was one of those that his character just transcended, I believe, what it was to be a wrestler. And when we talk about nowadays being and doing things outside of the ring. Like obviously, Macho Man is no stranger to television and movies,
Yep.
smaller roles, bigger roles. Like we seen him as a wrestler in the OG Spider-Man movie, even though it was only for like 3 minutes. Like you said, I don't mean to be pun intended with that, but I believe his character would allow him to transcend what wrestling actually was. And back then we saw it a little bit. We don't see it as much then as we do now with a lot of stars, making those transitions like the turning into big A-list Hollywood box office movie draws that you could have. I don't know if Macho Man would have necessarily. It's hard to say. I don't know if he would make that transition to be like like a John Cena, The Rock when it comes time for it. But I see him
Um.
having moments more like in feature films and things like he did those minor things back in the day for it. But I think he had like one of those another one that had like the complete package and being able to put on a performance, be outside of the ring, same thing, staying he was his character. So he's one of those that I don't think you necessarily could separate the Macho Man character from Randy Savage. Like I don't know if you can necessarily do that per se. Macho Man.
Yeah, just like on screen title was Macho Man as starring Macho Man. Like, but who who which WWE legend has that's part of like the union, like the movie union, like guild? Like he was on commentary on some of the PLEs.
Oof, you got me
Um
right now.
he was in Predator,
Which Predator?
the original OG Predator, the
Oh
OG.
man, that's been so long
Well,
since I've watched.
well, he's the one that says that we was going to unionize the entire all the
That he's been doing like Saturday night's main event. Jesse Ventura.
yeah. I feel like Macho Man would have spoken to Jesse Ventura for
Mm-hmm.
like the ins and outs of like the movie industry, and
Mm-hmm.
he would have like that would be that skyrocket for him if in that space.
I could dig that, and like his catchphrase, like obviously the oh yeah, like that's another one of those that kind
Hey,
of became a
I'll tell you this:
staple.
if Macho Man, uh, prime Macho Man Randy Savage in today's climate, there would be no LA Night.
Hey, listen, let's just have the yeah and the oh yeah going.
Nah, he'll dead that in the water. That's trademark. And mm-mm, I guarantee you gotta come up with a different catchphrase, kid.
That no, I feel like listen, that would be one of those that's like, hey, Knight, listen, we think yeah is a great thing, but with Macho Man over there doing oh yeah, we gotta change things up a little bit. I could definitely see that as being something that would have to be changed. But yeah, overall, yeah, Macho Man, easy in today's time. You got one more on your that you
Yep,
think you can throw out there?
the great, the amazing, the icon, Sting. And I don't mean like the end of his career where they brought him to
I was
the WWE and did absolutely god awful trash with him. I mean like prime Sting. I'm talking about WCW Sting, TNA Sting, like Sting that put on the Joker face paint. Like I'm like people are not ready for for that level. The main event Mafia Sting.
Sting is one of those also that transcends. Like I know, listen, I know his last run like with WWE, a little bit of AEW wasn't the greatest, but Sting's aura, like he may not have been doing a whole bunch of ring work, but his aura transcends time as well too. And I could only imagine having prime Sting out here with some of the current stars and being able to pull off what he does. It's whenever Sting, goes into his zone, like when he goes and he starts. I don't want to say Hulk up because I mean, but it's kind of that similar thing like
But
Hogan did when Sting becomes impervious. He's impervious. Doesn't matter how many times you hit him. Like that was another way just so much to get the audience engaged with the character. I think that's still work. Like honestly, it still worked over the last couple of years with him, doing AEW. He may not, he's not full on doing everything that he was doing in the past, but it still works. It still works. Yeah, Sting, and then you can have all like most of them can even be in their own stable together if you do it. But Sting would absolutely work in today's landscape. Uh, I think if Sting was still around in the WWE, like he's not necessarily a what's the he's like he can be like a mysterious character. He's not necessarily like Wyatt level
look, just give me a
aura.
tag team with Sting and Dexter Loomis.
it's like he's not the
That would be so
paranormal,
fire.
but I feel like his character still works. It can work in that realm. So maybe some of, some stars or some characters that have, tried to go down that route, maybe having like a Sting in their corner and doing it alongside with them would help out a lot. Like we had our discussion, about, the why we didn't think the Wyatt Six worked. Unfortunately, after Bray's passing, I think Sting is someone that could take, like a Wyatt Six type of group. And even though he's not like a paranormal type of character, I feel like you could change him where he works like that. Like how you brought up when he did the whole Joker thing in TNA. Like that was a pretty cool spin on the Sting character. Originally obviously the Crow is where like it started with, but as he's evolved and at different times changed the way that the character is, that's another thing that you have to be able to do nowadays, is be able to change and adapt. And I think that was another thing that the Sting character could obviously do without a problem.
Yeah.
I dig. I think these are a pretty solid batch of folk that we've actually chose. I think there's some more, and I think this is a
Oh,
topic
there's
we're gonna have to
definitely
come
a
back.
lot more.
Yeah, I think we'll have to come back and revisit this topic. But we want to know this from you guys. Who do you think are some past wrestlers that would still work in today's time? Let us know in the comments. Shoot us messages. Let us know what you think. I'm looking to expand on this and talk about this later on down the road, because I feel like as we continue to watch wrestling, things change up. I feel like we're going to run into some others that we think still, probably ones that we didn't think originally would fit this mold, would probably fit into this mold. But yeah, I think that was solid. So with that, I mean, I think we can get ready to shut things down now. Um, man, I'm over here. Like I'm thinking of once, but I don't want to throw it out because otherwise we'll be able to go on forever. But like I was saying, let us know some of your choices on who you think would work in today's landscape of wrestling. But with that, I think we can go ahead and shut things down. Marcus, anything else you going to say to the folk before we get ready to get out of here?
No, except for just because your back is against the ropes doesn't mean you can't move forward. And with that, we're out. Toodles and loose.
Loading snacks. Ow, ow.